Hello, it is Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project, and we're going live here for the Friday Q&A. I want to welcome newcomers here, anyone new following. If it's your first time here, let me know. Say hi in the chat. And one thing, so if you are a frequent guest, I really appreciate you hopping on. And please let me know if you're willing to help me moderate. We've had some interesting interactions with the internet trolls out here. So I think we're expecting that. So if you're a friend of the Niche Site Project community, I need help. So I see the Furman, we got Yath, we have Thomas, we have FM Scout, Arun. Hey, Arun, do you want to help me out? Are you going to be on here for a little while? And if you see some unsavory activities, you can help me kick people out. So Furman is willing to help out as well. How about you, Marcel? I need it could have exploded in my face, but we're gonna see how it works. All right. So Marcel, are you in too? Or will you be willing to help me out? I got your questions on the list, my man. So that could be super helpful. And we have Ravi from India. Very cool. And basically, yeah, so thanks, Marcel. Basically, I don't know, like my friend Alex Cooper over at WP Eagle, he and myself have noticed that the last few live streams, like trolls will pop up. And it's usually like when more people are watching and the chat's moving fast. Next thing you know, there's racial slurs, people asking me about my bald head and stuff. And it's like, I'm obviously comfortable with my bald head. Like, it's awesome. Love it. And they should just at least be more original. So anyway, I have a couple of my people that are going to help out. So Marcel and Furman and Arun. Okay, so can you guys see that you are indeed moderators? Like, can you see that you're moderators? I just want to double check. And basically, if you see someone, I believe if you right click or if you click on their name, you're able to hide the user on the channel. So I'm giving you guys great power, great responsibility, and I'm counting on you to help out. I do indeed appreciate it. Cool. I see you have a little wrench next to your names and it's in blue. So I really appreciate the help. It's maddening. It's kind of insane. I mean, I can work with it in general. I'm quite patient, you know. It's a little bit amusing, but yeah, just slightly inconvenient. All right, thanks. So we have a couple questions that were sent in, and we'll get to it. If you have questions, you could ask in the chat. And Yath, I'm good. And it turns out the people that I hit up for this, they are students. I have other relationships with them. So nothing personal. I just know these people already. So anyway, we have a handful of folks on. Please say hello. Let me know where you're at. And we're getting into it. Couple cool things I just wanted to talk about before I, dive into the questions. Number one, this is the Q&A session. You can ask whatever questions you want. And basically, you can ask about Amazon affiliate sites. You can go deeper into some rabbit holes. And basically, trying to think of other announcements. Basically, I wanted to share that I'm sort of trying to streamline and optimize my YouTube process. So I'm hoping in the coming, weeks, months that I'll be able to, publish more content and that sort of thing. And okay, I think we do have a troll here. So we'll just take care of that. So basically, I have an assistant who's helping me, a VA who's helping me. And there are certain pieces of like the YouTube process where it like bogs me down. And this translates, I'm mentioning it because it translates well to like if you have an affiliate site or you're just trying to do some work, right? A lot of times, especially as we're learning a process like we do each piece, it's good to learn the process. So when I have been publishing on YouTube, it's been like over a year-long process of me like publishing more often and that sort of thing. But like you have to, come up with the idea, create the video, edit it, publish it, do a description. I ignored doing thumbnails. I ignored doing descriptions for a while, but those are, pretty important when you're, trying to do a better job. So there are pieces that slow everything down. So from a process perspective, if you're working on a niche site, if you're working on YouTube or something else, if you're able to like figure out what you have to do, what only you can do, right? And look at other pieces that you can get other people to help you on that maybe they're better at. So great example on the YouTube side, I'm not a great graphics person. You could probably tell. And if I can get someone who knows how to use, say, like, Photoshop or some other software. The software doesn't matter. I don't care about the software. I don't want to know how to use it. I don't want to know how to do it or anything like that. I just want a better thumbnail. But if you could hire, say, a graphic designer to help out and take care of that portion, well, then that frees up a whole piece of the puzzle. Do that over and over again, then you end up with a little bit, something more manageable. It'll be easier to execute. Again, I would just, for my piece, it's like coming up with the ideas, adhering to a schedule, publishing, and getting it over to the editor. And then after that, everything else can happen without me. Someone else could do the thumbnail. Someone else could do the description. They could schedule it, all that stuff. I could shoot it. And then, that's it. I don't mind, shooting, writing the scripts. In fact, I want to do just more writing, period. Like come up with ideas, write it, and move forward. So I actually like sketched out the idea, and I'm going to publish a video on it, right? If I'm trying to publish more videos, that's a great thing to do. Just walking through a process and figuring out like, what do I need to do? What do other people, need to do instead of me? And again, to generalize it, you can take that idea and look at your niche site. Like a lot of times, once you have the core set of skills, then you could hire people to do those things. Even keyword research, right? So once I figured out how to do the keyword research, the way I wanted to do it, I could teach someone else to do it and get out of the weeds. So, all right. Couple questions coming through. So we have Ranjan said, is the PayPal checkout working? You want to buy the basic package, but the transaction is not being completed from my side. Can I look into it? Okay. The other announcement, yes, PayPal is working. If you have any information that you could send me, Ranjan, that will be the best way for me to look at it. So I don't know. I have heard some people having issues, particularly if they're offshore from like North America. Sometimes there's issues, but if you give me more information, I should be able to help. But transactions have been coming through. The other mini announcement is my course, 5-Figure Niche Site. It's open for enrollment till the end of the day today. So I open enrollment a few times a year. It happens to be open right now. So if you're interested in the course, if you're interested in creating a site, it's a helpful course if you're new. It takes you from the start, brainstorming, mindset, keyword research, developing content, hiring writers, doing outreach, getting links. And then it goes into more advanced stuff with the advanced packages where we talk about, scaling, selling your site, email, list building for niche sites, and other affiliate programs. So it goes from very basic to very advanced. And if you have an existing site, it's a great way to refine your skills, get a better, improve your foundational information and knowledge so that you can make changes, hopefully get a quick ROI on your investment in the course, and then improve your revenue pretty quickly. And that actually the people that already have sites end up making their money back faster than anyone else. So but Ranjan, sorry about the issue. Shoot me an email and let me know like where the problem is, and I should be able to help troubleshoot it. And unfortunately, I only can work with PayPal. I don't do any other like payment processing, so only via PayPal. Okay. And Yath says, how useful is Bing search engine? Your ranking Every article on Bing, do people use it? Not many. Can I give a percentage between Google and Bing searches? I don't know exactly, but if you just Google it, you could find that answer. I think the last stats that I heard, Google was something like 70% of the search engine traffic. So some people use Bing, but not really. And I basically ignore it. So I would say, don't worry about it. It's not helpful. It's cool that you're ranking, but not helpful. And next question is, hey, Doug, is the process to finding keywords for affiliate keyword and informational keywords different? Nope, it's exactly the same. I actually just published a video like 10 minutes ago on finding informational topics if you're unsure. But basically, the keyword research process is the same. You can get ideas from different places. Additionally, if you go over to Alex's channel, my friend Alex Cooper at WP Eagle, we collaborated. I sent him a video on getting ideas by looking at other sites. So similar type content, go over there, have a look at that video too, if you need some ideas. And my friend Marcel sent in some questions as well. So his questions, and they're listed in the description here. I should actually probably put the 5-figure niche site link as well. The question is, do you ever report competitors to Google for spamming? And there's actually a link, right? If you wanted to take a look at that. I've never done it, but I've thought about it, once or twice, but I've never done it. I think, I've heard, I don't know. Okay, let me gather my thoughts. I haven't seen or heard of anyone specifically do it. I have heard of people, like I've seen a link like in forums and stuff like the Google Webmaster Forums. I've seen like people report things and say nothing ever happens. So I have no clue how that process works. I mean, Google has a whole spam team, but I don't know how it works. I would say, if you're not doing anything wrong, then there's probably no harm in reporting your competitors. I don't know if it'll help, but it seems like there shouldn't be, an issue in doing that. So that said, I don't like, yeah, like I said, there's no issue in doing it. It would just, I don't think you should view it as being a snitch. I think it's just, it's competition, right? If they're going to use things that they can get in trouble for, then they're susceptible, they're at risk anyway. So I don't think you should, it's not a snitch situation here, if that makes sense. So good question on that. Okay, Ranjan, thanks for sending the email. I'll have a look at it and, work it out for you. Okay, and JP says search engine market share in 2017. So there you go. Yeah, so I wouldn't really worry about Bing. It's not really important. Next, at least to our model, right? Other people may love Bing, but for what we're doing, what we're talking about right now, it doesn't really apply. All right, next question, again from Marcel. How's everybody doing out there today? By the way, it just started snowing. It was actually quite warm yesterday. It was like 44 here in Bozeman, something like that. And I brewed a batch of beer. So I tried to take some video. I tried to vlog that, and it's a little tough. It's a little difficult to like video and do something. And I had my dog outside, so it was a little difficult. But it's snowing today, and because it was so warm yesterday, it's like a slushy mess. It's really, really kind of crappy. I wish it was just like much colder, and the snow didn't melt yesterday. Like a lot of snow kind of melted yesterday, got icy, and then it's snowing now. So anyway, next, the question is the keyword golden ratio versus a high keyword search volume? Do I have a recommendation for the ratio of KGR, keyword golden ratio, content versus total site content? And basically, you could do whatever you want. So if you focus on the keyword golden ratio content, each piece of your content is going to be bringing in a small amount of traffic. It's built around low volume, low competition keywords. Just logic tells us generally those are not going to bring in large amounts of traffic. So it really spreads the traffic that you're getting to many, many different pages. Now, personally, like I would recommend a blend. That blend, I don't know what it should be, right? The fact is, if you just have high volume keywords and you have like 10 posts, but they're high volume keywords and you have a lot of backlinks, then most likely you can make a lot of money. However, it will be much more competitive. It will be harder to stay ranked highly. It'll take longer to get ranked, but you potentially could make more money. It's more volatile though, right? So if you have, say, 10 posts, they're all high volume versus someone who has 100 posts and they're all low volume search terms. If one of your number one ranked pages falls to number two, it is a huge impact if you only have 10 posts. If it happens and you have 100 posts and it's only 1% of the traffic instead of 10%, then it doesn't matter as much. So you have to look at your risk. You have to look at, what you're working on and why you're publishing certain things. Now, in my opinion, I think it's probably viable to have, over 50% of your content as keyword golden ratio. And then the rest of your content could be, higher volume search terms. It's totally up to you, though. There's no right answer. Next is some people discredit the keyword golden ratio as a way to scale a site due to low ROI. And you reference a site that I had. I made 70K last year, and you say it's huge. Thank you. Appreciate that. It makes you wonder if the main strategy is keyword golden ratio or a supplement to big keywords. And I could tell you that it's mainly what's a blend, but there are more KGR posts than high volume posts, if that's helpful. The thing is, people on forums may not know what they're talking about. So if you put all your money into content, right, probably not the best way to go. And I will tell you, I wish I would have invested some additional money last year, not on content, but more on link building. It doesn't mean it was wrong, but when I look at it, it would have been better if I would have split the money that I invested, which was about $6,000 or so. If I split the money that I invested, it maybe would have had better results. Do I know for sure? No, you don't know until you do it and try it. And the fact is, you never we can't go back into that moment last year and then basically redo it. Like we can't redo it. We can try new stuff next year, but we don't actually know if that would have made the difference. So anyway, basically, don't listen to people in forums unless they know what they're talking about. If they do know what they're talking about, maybe they're right, and maybe it's not right for them. The model that I outline is an interesting one. There are many others, and it's again totally viable to have a small number of posts, focus more on link building, focus more on high volume content, and there's a lot of ways to do things. Okay. Cool. Next, Hi says, has anyone tried? And Hi, I think you're all right. You said someone named it. It's suspiciously like a potential troll name, but that's a legit question. I don't know that I think you may have some issues pushing your site with Craigslist. Um, like most things, I'll tell you to, experiment, try it out, see if it works. My hunch would be that no, it won't work. Next, Lance says, do we link pillar post, the high volume keyword posts from each of the KGR posts and vice versa? Mostly, but really what you want to do is, here's the way I think about it. Each of your posts should link out to like 2 to 5 other posts on your site. And each post should receive 2 to 5 links from other posts on your site. If they're relevant, that's the best case scenario. Link relevant stuff, but you don't want to necessarily do every single, right? The way your question reads, Lance, is link every single one. You don't want to link every single one. You want to link 2 to 5 per and have 2 to 5 coming in. So I think that's pretty clear, but if you have follow-ups, let me know. Martin says, your sales page is too long. You're not trying to offend. You're sure people are going to buy it and already know it's an amazing program. Thanks. Interesting, Martin. I'll take that under consideration. It actually takes a long time to do a sales page like that. But I think you'll find that the more expensive a product, the longer the sales page needs to be. And there's a lot of reasons for trying that. There's a lot of ways to do things. Thanks for your input, though. No offense taken. Pre-Tam says your domain name, your website title name, website description, navigation, and page name is, does it have an effect on the SEO? If yes, give some tips. Yeah, it does. I would say make it brandable. A lot of it is around like the website. So for that stuff that you're asking, it has to do with branding. So I would get anchor text with the brand name to your homepage. All the stuff you're asking is about the homepage. So do that. And that's probably the best tip I can give you on that. Yath is asking, is a link pyramid useful without private blog networks in 2018? The general answer I'm going to give is just no. I'm uninterested in that topic. So I'll just leave it at that. No. And link pyramids in the way you're using it is not useful. It's a bad idea. So anything, Yath, by the way, if you're looking for any shortcuts or anything like that, you're thinking about everything in the wrong way. So there's no shortcut. If someone is telling you there's a shortcut, they're selling you something. Okay. Martin says, am I doing social profiles with my pages? Some, yeah. And if you refer to, I think there was a video I did maybe a week or two ago, a way to get free links. So I'll create a social profile and just have like bare bones information in there. I'm not a social media person. I'm kind of bad at it and generally dislike it. So I don't spend a lot of time with it. However, if you're into something, if you're into Facebook, if you're into Pinterest, if there's a really big like social media community built around the niche, right? Feel free to explore that. I think a lot of times the traffic that you'll get from social media is not going to be as well targeted, right? I mean, they're not necessarily going to be buyers. So that is the flaw in it. Good question, though. All right. Feel free to put in your questions. And Furman says you tried a few social posts with new accounts linked to your site and paid for Facebook ads. So, okay. Yeah. And the thing is with ads, in general, if you're not an expert in running ads and paid traffic, it's cool to learn. And if you have a budget, great. But most people do not. And it could be not a very good investment generally. Next, Adil Adelia says, you're noticing that sites on the first page are ranking with a majority of no follow links. Can do follow and no follow links from blog commenting be enough to rank you on the first page? Yes, technically, it depends on a lot of things. If it's a highly competitive term with a high search volume, probably not going to work out. However, um, if you're just going after low competition stuff, yeah, potentially. I've definitely heard that. Duke says, have I ever used two affiliate programs on the same page, like given a choice between Amazon and Walmart? I haven't. I haven't tried that. I think it'd be really interesting to do between Amazon and Walmart. I think I don't know. Most of the people in my like circle of people that I know, family, friends, whatever, they are more likely to order from Amazon because they're prime number or prime numbers. They're prime members. So it's easy for them to get stuff fast, and they're more likely to order from Amazon than Walmart most of the time. However, I've never tested it. I'm not sure. JP says the income school guy said his photography website, which has millions of views per month, only gets 2% of the traffic from Facebook. I would say it's a waste of time. Seeing the thing is, that is an interesting data point, but it is only one data point. I know that there are probably certain pockets where it would be worthwhile to spend time, but it's unclear, and I would not recommend people build a brand or build all your traffic on a social media platform unless you realize that you will have to pay for the traffic at some point. So Paul says, what would you do with negative SEO? Just disavow the links and wait. Yeah, disavow the links. And somebody asked something the other day, and it's probably a good idea. And I don't talk about it too much, but as your sites get older, it's probably a good idea to monitor the links and look a little more closely. I've talked to a friend the other day, and he mentioned that there is a model out there for, I don't know what it does, but there's a model for like curating and syndicating content. And essentially they take your content, publish it on their site, and then there's links coming off of it. I don't understand, but he was telling me about it. And I mean, I've seen these sites out there, and I don't really understand like the mechanism that makes them worthwhile. Somehow they're worthwhile for some kind of spam activity. But anyway, those links do pop up, and I do recommend, if there are crappy links, disavow them. It does seem scary. Like if anyone has done the disavow process, you will see that Google warns you a couple times and says that it could have detrimental effects if you don't know what you're doing. So be sure you seek like expert advice and make sure you're doing it right. But the thing is, like, if you do see bad links, like most likely it's a good idea to get rid of them if you see bad links. Okay, Yath is asking something about Gray Hat. No, I'm not really saying that. So the question is, do I mean the blog commenting and guest posts and social profile and direct links can rank our post to the first position without pyramids or tiered link building? Oh, yeah. I mean, you're mixing a lot of stuff in there, Yath. I feel like you need to do more research. And I don't know where you're learning stuff, but a lot of the stuff that you're saying makes me think that you're reading like old things. So don't do link pyramids. That's bad. All right. Try not to do private blog networks unless you know what you're doing. By your questions, I know that you're not experienced, but what we're saying is if you do blog commenting and guest posting, you could rank #1. Yeah. So Wesley, what's up? Have I ever stopped working on a site and had it retains its earnings each month for a long period? If so, how long before noticing earnings drop? Yes. So that site that I referenced before that made like 70K, there have been stretches of 8 months where I didn't do anything and the earnings actually went up. And I didn't wait to see when the earnings would drop. I started working on it again before that. So once you get a site established, it can do pretty well. These things are pretty hands off unless you're like in a growth mode. Yep. And Duke says Facebook is a waste of time. They said they're not going to put publisher page post in your news feed. Yeah. Okay. And then Sheila says, once the course begins, how's the YouTube schedule going to go? About the same as usual, Wednesday and Friday. Yep. Basically, I think I may publish a little more often with the like just regular videos. I haven't been as consistent. I've been pretty consistent. I usually publish about 5 times a week, but you know, sometimes I don't schedule it in time. Sometimes I'm just off a little bit. So, and Sheila says, if I took the income school niche sites, I could explode them into monsters. Thanks. Appreciate that. And you know what? I'm sure those guys can do, I bet they do link building on some of their other sites. I don't know. I haven't talked to them about it, but it's funny. It's funny people are so passionate about it. Okay. And Martin says, special tribute to people who are here. Keyword starting with, can I blank while blank have an amazing KGR? Ah, nice. Yeah, good idea. Thanks for mentioning that there. Paul says, what's up, Paul? Good to have you on. Do I think that blogs that accept a lot of guest posts are not valuable at a lot? So it depends, but generally you're on the right track. So what happens a lot of times, and you may be seeing this more and more often as more and more people are doing outreach, and really bad outreach, by the way. I try not to complain too much, but for Niche Site Project, I mean, I'm getting pitches like every day from someone who's like, hey, you want to take a look at my infographic? And I've already told them not to email me back. And I'm like, I don't want to help your affiliate. I don't want to help your hosting affiliate site. Like, they're probably making crazy amounts of money and they just want me to waste my time and post their stupid infographic. And those are like legit-ish sites, right? I mean, they have someone working outreach and there's like a real person behind it. So anyway, the point is, a lot of sites out there, Paul, have like a Write For Us page or something like that, where they have some guest posts, and these people are just sending guest posts and they're potentially paying. So the more guest posts that you see, the less valuable probably the link will be. Not always. Sometimes that's just, you know, a common thing, right? Go look at the Tim Ferriss blog, right? He actually has quite a few guest posts on there. There are quite a lot of guest posts on there, but they're from like big other, you know, authors and bloggers and content creators. And those are hugely valuable, right? So I would look at it more like that. Like, is this actually a blog that will bring traffic? And the more traffic that it actually would bring, it indicates it's like a real site with real fans and stuff like that. And if that's the case, it's probably a more valuable link. So, all right. And what else? What other questions do we have there? Good, really good question, Paul. And you know, to that point, if you're doing outreach, I haven't talked about it in a while, but my recommendation would be that you do, you know, more relationship building. Overkill on the relationship building versus asking for something. As there are no questions there, I'll digress into a story. So I got an email from, I think it was like a new financial blogger, and he was like, hey, do you accept guest posts? I write about, you know, financial blogging. I'm a professional, you know, working some corporate job, and I'm blogging here, and I hear guest posting is a good way to go. Couple big mistakes, like within the, like his opening was, do you accept guest posts? Basically, right? I mean, there may have been an intro for who he was in the first sentence or so, but essentially it was an ask. He didn't, you know, express any like interest in what I was doing or helping me at all. He literally asked to do a guest post, and then he asked if I had any tips for him. And I should have just deleted it, but I did give him a tip, and I told him to not ask for something right away and to work on building relationships. So to be a little redundant and make my point with the same point that I told him, spend time like, trying to at least pretend like you're being a friend to them. You'll have a much better chance at getting accepted. So you'll potentially notice that I've done a few interviews with people and I've been on their channels, on their YouTube channels, or like podcasts and stuff. Usually the root of that is me sending multiple emails, developing a relationship versus just asking for something. So that is a key point. All right. Next, Yath says, if you have 100 articles on your site, how can I start blog commenting for each and every article manually? I will take much time. Any faster idea? Back to my point before, there's no shortcut. It just takes a long time. So if you want to do that, I would recommend doing a little bit each day. Do 10 comments each day. And then in 100 days, you're done, right? You've done that in 100 days. You've accomplished that. You've commented on 10 different blog posts on other blogs, and in 100 days. I mean, that's no time, man. That is like 3 months and a couple weeks, right? Like that is, you're there. Like start today and you'll be done by April. Okay. So it doesn't take that long. Just start doing it. Actually, if you stop coming to these live streams and instead spend your time doing the blog commenting, you're done. And I bet you don't have 100 posts up yet. Let me know. Do you have 100 posts up yet? All right. Arun says you added a sponsored post guidelines page, and now you get less guest post requests. Ah, interesting. I wonder why that's a filter. Interesting. All right. Martin says, is it better to do 100 articles each with 2 backlinks or 10 articles each with 20 backlinks? I don't know. It depends on, it's a cool philosophical question. My gut, right? My gut says the second one, do 10 articles with 20 backlinks each. But I think the better answer is a blend of the two. So maybe not, 100 articles, maybe you do 25 articles and then, what is that, 4 links per or something like that? Or maybe you do 25 articles and 4 or 5 of the articles have 80% of the links. And then the other ones are maybe keyword golden ratio type stuff. So, all right. Yeah. That's the idea. Start tomorrow. Start today, man. Just start today. Why not get started right now? And you say you're going to do 30 to 50 a day. Okay. Yeah. So you'll be banging through it in no time. And you have to look at it like a, training for a marathon. I think I've given an example like this, but if you're going to like run a marathon or a half marathon, that's kind of my distance. That's 13 miles, for people that don't know. And that is 20K for our international folks, about 20K. And basically you can't just go out and run 13 miles, or, if you can, you're probably going to be sore. It'll be a little harder on your body, and you have to do things, like incrementally slow. You have to like increase your mileage by like 5% per week. And you have to run like, 3 to 5, depending on how you train, 3 to 5 times per week, and you're increasing your mileage very slowly. So you're never like overextended. Hopefully you're not getting injured or anything like that. And really anything useful that you're going to do, it's probably going to take a long time. That's kind of an area that I am good at. Like my personality does well with that. Long-term goals where you have to be committed, you have to stick with it. I'm good at that. And if you're, you know, some people's site, they have ADD, they're interested in too many things. And I mean, fact is, you do have to focus up for a lot of stuff. So you have to figure out how to harness that. Okay, I'll shut up. KBT says, what's the best price for 2,000 words, a 2,000 word article in Upwork? It's a weird question. What's the best price? I'm not really sure. You probably shouldn't shop around and buy content at the cheapest price. So if I just had to tell you what is the cheapest price, I think there's like some minimum amount in Upwork, which you could just look up. So it's whatever that is. I have no idea. But if you pay the cheapest price that you possibly can get for 2,000 words, it's probably not going to be very good. So bad way to think about it. I would recommend. So I'll answer a different question that I think is better. For 2,000 words, I would recommend that you pay $25 to $35 or so. Can you get it cheaper? Sure. Is it more valuable? Probably not. So I would say, don't skimp. All right. And Wesley says 3 cents per word. Yep. I mean, that's a fair rate for good work. Martin says, okay, so you're going to do the page today. You found an amazing niche. Awesome. And last question, am I afraid that writers could steal the idea if they assume your earnings? You have trust issues. Could steal your niche if they assume your earnings. I'm not sure. So generally, no. I'm not worried the writers could steal the niche. It's all in the execution, right? The fact is, I won't do this, but the fact is, if I gave you a niche idea and I gave you all the keywords that you would need, in fact, if you sign up for the email list, you get a lot of keywords. The problem is it's all the execution, right? So Yath is a good example. He was asking like about, isn't it going to take a long time to do comments? Yeah, everything takes a long time. Everything that I'm talking about, it sucks. It's work, and it's going to take a long time. There's no like fast way to do it. So basically, generally, not always, but the writers often don't have enough skills to execute. And even if they knew the niche site idea, it's still not exactly cut and dry. Again, if I just gave like a niche and 1,000 keywords and set up hosting for you, like you still may not be able to make it work. Another good example around that is the done for you sites, right? A lot of my friends, they have companies that sell done for you sites. I'm a proponent of building your own site because you need the skills to get traffic, which is my point. If a writer has the ideas, if they take my ideas and the keywords and stuff, they see the site that I'm working on or something, and they wanted to do their own, they still would have to figure out the piece of the puzzle of getting traffic. And it turns out, even with the training that the done for you sites provide, a lot of times people end up never making any money from it because they don't understand the other pieces, if that makes sense. So good question, Martin. Good luck on your site there. Sharon says, after you have a title using the keyword golden ratio, then how many different keywords need to be in the actual article? I don't think about it that way. Basically, I have the writer write the article in a natural way. So the keyword should be in the article probably one time. I usually put it in once, and that's basically it. Most of the time, a keyword golden ratio term is a long, rare phrase that shouldn't be, it'd be weird if it was in there like 5 times. So I usually just put it in once. Paul says, do I have a special interlinking strategy or just interlink where you feel it's normal to do it? Yes, that's right. Okay, cool. Yath says you're 16 and you want to do great by the time you're 20. Awesome. Sounds amazing. I wish I had this sort of insight when I was that young. Barry says, when researching a niche, do I recommend a single product web? Do I recommend single product websites or niches with multiple products? Barry, multiple products for sure. My idea around that is to find a narrow like product niche, but brand the site in a general way. So for example, I always mention pens or markers or something like that. It's because they're always laying around. So if it's like pens and markers, I would not make it like bestmarkersandpens.com. I would make it like office products, because then after you focus narrowly on whatever you find, you can essentially add products later, right? So you want to be able to expand later if you want. So Barry, definitely multiple products, but with a focus early on just one product. Okay. KVT, you bought a company domain with ink on the domain name. Do you think you could face legal issues? Not sure. You should consult a lawyer. Wesley says, is it good to put LSI keywords in your article? There's a good site to find LSI keywords. Just Google it. You know what? I don't pay attention, to be honest with you. So LSI is the latent semantic indexing, and basically it just means synonyms. So if you have the writer write naturally, those should pop up in there. To be honest with you, Wesley, I've heard people say that it is quite effective. But I've never paid attention. So have you tried it? Have you put it into your articles and seen a good effect? And KVT is saying the domain was expired. Yeah, I have no idea. So, I mean, if it's a trademarked name, then you could have run into trouble. Someone sent me a couple messages. They had a domain with like a trademarked movie name in it, and I was like, oh, actually, it's Kevin right here. So Kevin, I'll get to that in a second. So the domain was expired, and basically, you shouldn't use like other companies' names in there. Wesley, if the company is still in operation, then yeah, you may run into issues. Here's the weird part: if you start the site, no one's going to care, right, Kevin? So no one's bothering you about your site right now. As soon as you start getting traffic, as soon as you start becoming successful, then you will have a problem, because you'll find your site. Inevitably, no one's going to pay attention when you're getting started because you have no traffic. No one knows who you are. No one cares. The problem is once you start getting traffic and you start making money, that's when they'll find you, and that's when you'll get a letter from their lawyers, and then you'll have to move your site. Now, Kevin, you sent me several questions, and I appreciate the interaction. And I wrote in there, I'm super busy. I don't have time to answer your one-on-one questions unless you pay me for a consultation session. So I'm not trying to, I mean, I'm sitting here right now, so you could ask me questions, right? But if you send one-on-one questions to me, it's a little inconvenient. So one could imagine I get a lot of questions like that. I literally probably get about 10 questions per day where someone is just asking like something straightforward and simple. One question, not a big deal. 10 people, kind of a problem. Multiply that by 7 days a week, big issue. And Wesley, so I can't answer your questions unless you're a student. And that is the main reason I don't have time. I have a course called 5-Figure Niche Site. And basically, I spend a lot of time with the students. I answer their questions. We do sessions where we talk about the material. And it's nothing personal, Kevin. I literally don't have time to answer like a YouTube message. But I'll answer your question here in the live sessions. It's literally what they're here for. So Kevin, I hope that makes sense. Nothing personal at all. So my most successful niche site, there was a project called Project Go White Hat. I wrote a 12-part blog series on it. Go to Niche Site Project and look at Project Go White Hat. My friend and I sold it for $235,000. And those are, I don't talk about everything that I work on. That is helpful, to share some stories, but not all. Wesley says the LSI keywords have helped bring in more long tail traffic. Other software like Market Muse are helpful, but it's very expensive. Cool. So, and I think like the LSI, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she is doing old school, like manual analysis. So she went to the search console and she looked at the keywords for a given URL. She looked at some pages that were already ranking well, that were getting quite a lot of traffic. And she just looked to see what search terms were bringing people in. And then she looked at the content and figured out if, it was optimized around that topic. Then if it wasn't, she added a section for that. And, I believe, it's not directly LSI related, but that sort of thinking where you look at the keywords that potentially could help that page, bring in different traffic, bring in more traffic, and you add those, you add a section, right? Do a subheading with LSI, and then write, 200 words on it. It's perfect. So thanks, Kevin. Appreciate your understanding. Paul says, I intend to have some more courses in the future, potentially, and you say on several specific topics. Could you elaborate, Paul? I am interested in doing more courses. And Paul, are you the Paul in the productivity course? Because I did have a productivity course, and basically, I enjoyed working on different topics too. So, okay. And then Yath is asking about what is the site that I sold. So a couple things, you may not understand this yet, Yath, but from a professional perspective, when you sell a site, you don't want to out the site because that could be bad for the new owners, right? So basically, I don't share the site for a number of reasons, but one of them is, if I ever want to work with a broker again, I have to respect the new owners. So it's funny. People seem to think it's not a big deal, but it's actually a big deal. All right. Barry says, do follow links, send link juice to your blog. So, yeah, generally, yeah. And really any do follow links are good. Forums can be great. Even no follow links in forums can be good if they are bringing in traffic. And Wesley is deep on the LSI keywords. Maybe I need to look into that. It's a good topic I don't know much about. It's a great way to come up with more content to thicken up an article. I like that verb too, the thicken up. And Paul, yes, it's you in the productivity course. Yeah, and so there's a couple areas to go sort of like deep into what I'm working on. I'm constantly trying to build the audience, right? It's an ongoing thing. Build the audience, grow the email list, right? Everything is around the email list. To the point earlier that we were talking about Facebook groups and stuff, I luckily never got mixed up in, building a Facebook. I have a Facebook group, but it was sort of gifted to me. So I have a Facebook group, but I don't feel like there's a good activity in there. And I don't have interest in working with it. But the point is, I've always like focused on the email list, which is, something I own, I possess versus yep, it's the email newsletter email list. Yep. So it's something that I have, and I could send out an email and people get it and they read it. Where if I post something on Facebook, who knows if they're going to see it? If I'm not paying like paying for ads, um, a lot of times no one will see it unless there's a ton of interaction, and that is the key. But basically, right now I'm sort of focusing on like growing the audience, as you could imagine, from the my focus on YouTube, and then potentially a podcast that's resurfacing as a big interest for me as well. And interesting the interesting part of it is, yes, I do want to have other courses, but they're it's hard to figure out, what to focus on sometimes. And I want to make sure that I'm not like spreading myself too thin by developing too many courses. So, first off, Paul, I definitely will um like re-release the productivity course with the stuff that we worked on, the stuff that we worked through, and I see that people are more interested. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I would do like project management. I maybe would, send out a survey, try and figure out if I did brand it as project management, would people actually like buy it? Are people interested in it? But yeah, it's very interesting. So I'm not sure. In general, I do like the idea of more courses. The other part is I want to make sure that I have like the staff to support it. So each time you have another um, course, basically another product, you have to provide support for it. And the one thing that I've been pretty firm on is I don't want to build like a big team of like too many people. I'd rather have like a smaller team and do less. So I don't have like a huge interest in being like super huge and having a big team of people. I'd rather be like lean just in general. Okay. Sharon says, when you say no follow versus do follow, so a no follow link is a designation where Google generally doesn't consider it, and the do follow links are considered. So, and you do agree on the Facebook stuff. So yeah, and it's, they're changing it and adapting it over time. And I remember a few years ago when, people had huge followings on Facebook and they were able to reach all of their people. And then Facebook started charging for, that access. So, people essentially lost their brand because they weren't, building a brand outside of Facebook. They were just internal in Facebook, and then they lost their reach basically. Furman says, how many iterations of the 5-figure niche site course have there been? That is, it's I've made additions several times. So if I just had to recall the number of like additions and changes and updates and stuff like that, probably 8 or so. But there hasn't been like a version 2.0. It's just a fluid, when it first started, it was only like units 0 through 8. And then I added unit 9. Now there's 12 units. So, and Wesley says, you're an Authority Hacker Pro member, but you really like my approach. Thanks. When you can afford to buy another course, you'll buy mine. Thanks. Appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, it's just a different approach. I think mine is a more attainable one. I think, Gail and Mark and Perrin, they're all really smart and they do a good job. But it's just a little different. And I think mine takes advantage of like my project management background. They're more on the marketing side. I think they've had, if I recall right, they had like a marketing agency for quite a long time. And I think they, if I remember this story, I think they sold it and then started doing more on the affiliate marketing side. So their marketing background, and I think you could tell through like their marketing materials and stuff. Like if you, um, I don't know when their course is for sale or if they launch it exactly or what, but if you land on their sales page, um, the video that pops up right away, I'm pretty sure it's one of those like scary videos. It's like, warning, don't watch this video if, like, it's pretty heavy handed. In mine, my approach is different. It's light handed, if you will. All right. So, but like I said, those guys are smart. I listened to their podcasts a lot back in the day, and then just, you know, stopped listening. I guess it was less interesting over time. Okay. Barry says, how do you assess the competition for a particular niche or keyword? I usually look at the, on page and off page. So look at the content, look at the quality of the content, word count, and, if you think it's good or not. And then the off page, you would look at the number of backlinks, the, trust flow, the domain authority, domain rating from whatever sources you want. And then that'll give you a pretty good idea on how competitive that keyword is. Robbie says, you want to know the best keyword research tool for affiliate sites? It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. I usually recommend Keyword Keg because it is the cheapest with the right number of features, but there's no best tool. It doesn't matter. Just pick a tool that you like and then it's fine. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that the keyword competitiveness number, like in Longtail Pro or whatever other tool, a lot of tools do have some keyword difficulty mentioned. Those often are not accurate. So particularly with Longtail Pro, I think a lot of people put way too much weight on it. And they, for example, published a lot of content that had like a low KC keyword competitiveness number and thought it was going to rank just because people told them that it was going to rank, and it never ranked. It turns out the number is kind of, not very useful. So, and maybe it was right 4-5 years ago when it first came out, that number maybe was useful, but these days it's just not accurate. And the people that tell you that it's accurate, either they're an affiliate, they're getting money when you buy it, or they just don't understand the tool. So, okay. Any other questions out there? It looks like things are slowing down a little bit. And Wesley says, you have a lifetime membership to Longtail Pro and you don't use it at all, if that means anything about the software. Yeah. And like, I have heard, and I have talked about this. I potentially may just, buy a month of, the most popular keyword research tools and like use it for a day and do some work, release a video on it, probably, be an affiliate for them, because if I'm going to spend the time doing it, I may as well have some ROI on the process. But basically, yeah, I mean, I've heard other people say they have a lifetime access to Longtail Pro and they don't use it. So I've heard they've improved it though. I've heard they revamped it and they rebranded with their new owners and all that stuff. All right, Sharon's out of here. Have a good weekend too. Any other questions out there as we're just sitting around here talking? I did work on some ideas for like a podcast. So I've talked about doing a podcast for, I don't know, over a couple years, maybe 3, because I got into all this stuff through podcasts. And before I got into internet marketing, I used to listen to beer brewing podcasts. And basically, I listen to like thousands of hours of beer brewing stuff because I'm a home brewer. and I was really into beer and I was learning. And this was back in 2007, first batch of beer ever brewed. It was 2007, around this time of year. It was, I think it was end of January, maybe in early February. But my friends and I were not like craft beer drinkers or anything. We drank like Coors Light, Bud Light, basically. And we just got into it. So I was listening to all these podcasts. And fast forward, like 6 years later, 2013, I was like looking for a new podcast and I found Smart Passive Income. So I'm a big fan of podcasts. I have been talking about it for a while, but I knew, luckily, I've been putting it off because I knew it would be a distraction. I wasn't ready for it yet. And basically, I think I have like, a lot of content that I could talk about. I realize some people just listen to podcasts. Some people only watch YouTube videos. This is obviously the YouTube crowd. Some other people only read blog posts. So it's just a matter of making sure that I can not go crazy by having, 3 different outlets, the blog, YouTube, and a podcast, and being smart about repurposing content. And, if I do an interview on YouTube, well, that'd be great to have on a podcast, right? So I see a question on the when to consider being a digital nomad. So Arun, I think you should consider it right away. If it's something interesting to you, you should figure out what you can do right away. My advice to you is to start small. Technically I wasn't a digital nomad. I was more like location independent. My wife and I were, which is a whole other video topic by itself, but we were location independent, and we started by taking a vacation to Hilton Head. We rented a beach house out there. We had a couple friends going with us, and I decided, all right, I'm going to take like 2 days off, and I'm going to work half days for the other 3. So I wouldn't go through as many vacation days, right? And I knew that, I could log on in the morning. I wouldn't miss out too much, or certain pockets of time, and basically tested it out. So essentially working like half time or something like that. I can't remember what I did. Maybe I worked, 4 hours a day for 5 days, and then had a couple days like where I was totally off. I don't remember, but it worked out well. So my advice, Arun, is to start slow, do a little experiment. Further, right, we started doing a little bit more over time, right? So when that Hilton Head thing went well, we ended up doing longer periods. So we did 2 weeks, where we drove up to like Vermont, but we stopped in Charlottesville, Virginia on the way. So we stopped at my sister's place and stayed with her and her husband, chilled for a couple days, drove up to Vermont, stayed for a couple days or like a week there, drove back down, stayed a few more days in Charlottesville, and then back down to Georgia. So we like slowly grew into it. Then fast forward, we started renting houses. So we rented a house in Austin. We house sat and pet sat for some friends in Denver, and we drove out to Denver. We had our dog with us at the time, so we drove out to Denver and stayed there for a month. We did that twice, so it was awesome. It's really great to do like the slow travel thing. And I think there's a difference, if you watch a few of my videos on the digital nomad topic, you'll see there's like a difference between like location independent versus like the digital nomad. The nomad word sort of denotes like a lot more movement, and you're only staying in a place for a short time. And that's not really my style. I'd much prefer to live like a local, chill out for a while. When we came to Montana, we stayed here for like 3 months. And again, a whole other story, but we stayed in Whitefish for like a month, and then we stayed in Bozeman for like 6 weeks, and it took, about a week to drive out each way, something like that. We took our time. But anyway, the point is start right away, start small, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then be sure you understand what you don't want to do. is like, launch out there where you're further away, you didn't get to experiment. I'm very big on the incremental stuff. Okay. Next, Sheila, thanks for the perfect review video. Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Adelia says, you started your niche site in November. You building backlinks with blog commenting. Well, it takes 6 months to see results. I hope not. If you are going after keyword golden ratio terms, then it should be much, much sooner than that. You should already see results. But it's hard to say with the amount of information that you've given. It's hard to tell. So, all right. And Wesley is reminding everyone to hit the like button. I didn't even ask anyone, which is why we have so few. But if I answered your question, if you found me slightly helpful and maybe a little bit likable, please hit the thumbs up. It helps other people find the video. I appreciate it. And, I should probably ask more. Barry says, how long does it generally take to make decent money from a niche website? Good question. So if you're starting from scratch, you have, you're a beginner, right? You don't have like a background in internet marketing. Typically, the first, say, 3 months or so, 3 to 4 months, you may make $100 total. All right. Not much. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. By the 6th month or so, you probably should be able to hit your first month of $100. All right. And then after that, within, 9 to 12 months, you could make up to $500 to $2,000, right? There's a lot of factors, there's a lot of variables involved, Barry, but basically, after you hit that 6-month mark, things can grow very quickly if you've done a lot of that, work properly in the first 6 months. You get the results later on, 9, 12 months, 18 months out. So, decent money is a relative term. It means different things to different people. So I would say, for a lot of people, to be able to make $100 a month is a good, that's a decent amount of money. You could, go out to eat an extra time. When you're hitting $500 a month, that is, a car payment or pay student loans or living expenses or whatever. So Barry, I hope that helps. I have those are my observations. Additionally, I've talked to about a dozen other experienced people along with a lot of students that I've had, and they tell me, roughly the same thing. So that sort of six month mark is kind of critical. Wesley, thanks for the offer on the moderators today. We made it through with no trolls, and maybe those are the extra 10 people that are usually on here. But Wesley, I will probably look for your help. Thing is, they're nuts, man. They're so fast. And if you get like 3 or 4 that are sending a few messages, it's like impossible to like in control, and they hit like all at once. So yeah, it is super helpful. I appreciate that. And I'll ask for help sometime soon. Lance says, are those results based on 10 posts along with blog commenting, guest posting, and what other assumptions? So quick note, Lance is a student of the 5-Figure Niche Site course. So yes, the other assumption is you're potentially doing a second or third sprint. So you may have, 20 to 30 or 40 pieces of content. The fact is, you publish 10 pieces of content. I'm asking you to get like 15 guest posts or so, and then start again. So if you're able to do that and execute a couple times, like by six months, you may have 40 posts and 30 backlinks or so. And at that point, if you have 30 backlinks, like, why not add a little more content? You'll probably got some momentum. You've learned some things. Maybe you found like some really good, pockets of content where you could rank well. So hopefully that makes sense, Lance. All right, Barry, have a good one. Have a good weekend. Appreciate your questions. Muntasir says, how many posts do I generally have on a niche site? So tough question because it varies. And the unhelpful answer that I will give is as many as it needs. But I would say at a minimum, right? If I'm like, all right, I'm going to start a new site, I'm probably going to aim for like 40 or 50 posts. What should you aim for? Probably not that. Probably 10 to start off with and then start link building. And Arun says the trolls really screwed up Alex's live session big time. Yeah, I haven't watched it, but it was bad enough that he pinged me later to ask about it. Like, have I been having trouble? I guess some people may have mentioned that, which I did. I had they got to me. I think I kind of managed it, but there was probably a lot of dead air. The thing is, it's hard to talk and watch the chat at the same time, which is why you see weird, awkward pauses and stuff like that. Okay, and we'll probably try and wrap up. I do have like my moderators helping me out, which is really cool. So I want to respect their time. By the way, folks, if you are a moderator and you have to jet, I totally understand. Okay, and Arun says the live stream was so bad that the video got removed. Okay. And Sheila says, when are you gonna jam for us again? What do you mean, like jam with me and Alex together, or me like playing guitar? And well, I don't sing, but I do play some guitar. That could be interesting just for if I'm trying to do more vlog content. The KGR jingle, that'd be good. Yeah, should do a song on it. A theme song. All right. Any other questions out there? We got Nonchalant just hopped on. And by the way, if you're just hopping on, we have 24 likes. I just liked it myself here. We got 27. If you have the ability to give the thumbs up, I do appreciate it. If you're watching it later, give the thumbs up. That would be great. And yeah, I think we're about at the end of the road here. I don't have anything else to mention myself. I've exhausted my stories and I'm going to get back to, I know a couple people sent the questions and some people had issues with 5-figure niche site payments and whatnot. So I'm going to make sure I get to those and hopefully everything will be good to go. And yeah, it's cool that there's not any trolls on here. I was ready though. I have my folks, really appreciate the help we had Arun, we had Furman UK. What's your name, by the way? Furman UK. I always say that. And then Marcel, thank you very much. I think there was only one troll at the beginning and I kicked him out. It may have not been a troll, but it looked weird. So when people start bugging me, then I'm out. So, all right. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Furhan, not Furman. All right. Furhan. Cool. Got it. Thank you. Thanks again. Everyone give a shout out to Arun, Marcel, and Furhan. Thanks. We'll catch you next time. Bye.